Namaskar, everybody. Vanakkam, everyone. Om Namah Shivaya. We are absolutely thrilled on this Thanksgiving weekend in the United States to have a young guru of ours, Lavanya Aru. She is the Shishya of GP Narasimham, who is also on the call with us. And she was introduced to us by our very own Swami Vijayananji. Last time we talked about Shaivite scriptures in general. And we talked about this time we're taking the Shaivite scriptures bit by bit. So today's briefing is on Tirumurai 1 to 3. In addition to that, what Lavanyaji is doing for us because of the effectiveness of our lectures, we're taking 10 topics which are things which people are uncomfortable in their lives. And she's giving us patigams or little cures, if you will, and that we can listen to 5 times, 7 times, as many times as you wish to every day. And if you do that particular malady which is in your life, we'll see significant improvement. So eventually, once we have it, we'll put that on our YouTube. So we're working on that as a second step. And she will be a faculty at IHU so that we can continue to get the word of Lord Shiva to more and more devotees around the world. My humble pranams to you, Lavanyaji. Namaskara. Floor is all yours.
சிவாய நம. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். சிற்றம்பலத்தான் திருத்தோழன் சுந்தரன் நற்றமிழ் மாலை அணிநாவலூர் கொற்றவன் நம்பியாரூரன் பேர் நாம் ஒரு காலோதினால் தப்பிக்கும் தீவினையேதான். Welcome back, everyone. I think few of us, we were here last week as well, so glad to see all the some of the known faces, I would say. And I would like to thank International Hindu University for arranging this lovely series, because I know how hard it is to arrange for series, and they are doing it consistently, which I think the Thanksgiving, honestly, you deserve it. That was a lovely gesture for giving back to the society. And my sincere pranams to our Guruji as well. And more than anyone, Lord Shiva and my Guru, Nambi Arurar. I'll directly delve into the topic that is given today. We are going to talk about the youngest Guru, who's only 3 years old. And when he was initiated in this path, he was only just 3 years, and that's unbelievable. Last week we had a small intro about his background and all these. I'll just refresh your memory within a minute, and then I'll move on to the new topic, because it's almost like 1 week, and after our hectic work, it's like, who is Thirugnana Sambandar? Sometimes we do have this question. We already saw that when he was 3 years old, his father took him to the temple. And when his father was doing his prayers, this small little baby started crying, and he was fed with milk, just not the normal worldly milk, but jnana. The entire milk was fed by Shiva and Parvati themselves. When his father asked the name of the person who fed the little kid with milk, he started singing his very first padigam, which is Thodudaya Seviyan, which is even today taken as one of the most important padigam for learners, like when we start learning. For example, like me, we start with Thodudaya Seviyan, because that is the very first initiation path into this singing Tirumurai. His spiritual and religious journey honestly ends there. We cannot say starts there, it ends there. Why are we getting into this path of spirituality? Why are we visiting temples? Why are we continuously chanting and doing all these puja? Is to get onto the renunciation path. He already received it. He received the holy milk directly from Shiva and Parvati. So his religious journey ends there. But what he's doing is he just transforms himself into a torch to show us light, and to show us the path of enlightenment. That is the first step of a leader. A leader is someone who's there to guide their disciples, their followers. Just not, once he received all the happiness, all the blissful state, just not retiring in a cave. Rather, he came out and he went through so much of a pain after that, only to guide us. If at all we have to say thank you, honestly, instead of saying thank you to Lord Shiva, we need to actually say thanks to our four gurus, because they took the form of human. And we all know what is so beautiful about this human being life. Every single day we are running a rat race, and every single day we are going through so much of a pain, emotionally, physically. All those are a torture. And imagine, just for our sake, the four of them have taken a human form and come down. So if at all we have to say thank you, honestly, we have to thank only our four gurus. And the first guru is what we are going through now. He is in our thoughts for the entire evening now, or rather morning for you, for all of you. Now, let's look at a little bit more details about his Padigam. If you look at a pattern, when you talk about Tirunjana Sambandhar's Padigam, there is a beautiful pattern. Majority of his Padigams will follow this particular pattern. The first 7 verses, he will always be praising the place, temple, Lord Shiva, and his omnipotence. Omnipresence as well, but majority it will be omnipotence. 8th verse will always be referencing Mount Kailash, the form of ice, form of Shiva rather, in which he will talk about the deed which Ravana did and how the demon was punished. And the 9th verse will always be for Tiruvannamalai, which we are all familiar with right now because of Swamiji's ashram. So it is it's about Tiruvannamalai to indicate the fire form of Shiva. The 10th verse will always go on to giving us some kind of an advice and guiding us to the right path, rather getting on to following the other cults or other myths. Because those days when he was born, when he came into the society, there was a lot of other religious beliefs and other cults that was being practiced. So his main objective, the main reason for his birth, was to break that and bring real happiness and joy for human lives. That was his main objective. So the 10th verse will always be talking about breaking the other cult. 11th song, or the 11th verse, was always dedicated to in management. Sorry, I'm a management person, so obviously I tend to go back to the same thing. Old habits die hard, right? What is in for me? So they say, as a leader, as a project manager, when you are giving work to your employees, you need to, when you ask them to do something, obviously they know that we are going to get a benefit out of it. So they won't be interested, but you need to always answer from their point of view, as in, what is in for me? If you tell them what is in for them, then they will be motivated to do. And that's a simple mindset for any human being. The first question that will come is, why should I read a Padigam? 5 to 10 minutes, instead I can just watch a movie or listen to a movie song or watch some comedy, something of that sort. Because our human brain will always start thinking about what is in for me. And the 11th verse is always dedicated for this. And in Tamil, we call this as Kapu. Kapu means, simple translation is protection. By reading this verse, what is the protection that we are going to get? What is the benefit we are going to get? This is what he made it very, very clear. In our language, if you have to say, it is like our insurance. But not only for this birth, but it is for birth after birth. How many ever births we are going to take? Don't know. It is only his knowledge. But if at all we do take our birth, this is an insurance. It is going to protect us. But this protection has no fine prints and there is no ifs and buts. So there is, which you see in a typical contractual agreement, there's nothing called as fine prints. Everything is very, very clearly and logically given to us. So that is the reason why we are always talking about the Thirukadai Kapu, as I said, which is basically taken as a protection for us. And this plays a very important role for us to understand and move towards our next step in our spiritual journey. As I said earlier, verse number 8 and verse number 9 is a very important verse that we need to talk about. Every human being, whether we are already in the path of spirituality or we are just coming into spirituality, whatever it may be, we would have done so many mistakes, knowingly, unknowingly, wantedly, unwantedly. We would have hurted someone. We would have made some sins. We may not know that it was a sin at that point in time, but now when we sit and repent for it, we will start getting into a guilty feeling. We will start into a depression. Now, if you take our first three Tirumurai, the best medicine for that is our eighth verse. He says, the history goes this way. Ravana is visiting Kailash, and when he's flying over the mountain, there is something that is stopping his chariot. So he's looking below and he's seeing Mount Kailash. He feels a bit offended because he has this feeling as I, mine, because he's so powerful. And when someone has a power, obviously this kind of a grudge will come in. And he feels so powerful that when a mountain is stopping him, he felt intimidated. He could not take it. That's a problem with all of us anyways, right? Be it Mount Kailash or whatever it is, we feel intimidated. When our daughter or son talks to us, even if it is good, we don't want to listen to it because of our ego. That's the same thing that happened. So what Ravana did was, he tried to remove Mount Kailash. Can we imagine someone coming into our house and trying to repair our house or trying to damage our house? How much of an anger we will get? Imagine if this is happening to Lord Shiva's house. But that is what Lord Shiva is. He did not get angry. Rather, what he did was, he just pressed the mountain to make it more stable with his finger, little finger somehow. And that is documented by our Thirugnana Sambandar. So he says, with a little finger, he just pressed a little bit. Ravana got stuck under the mountain. This is going to give us, let's put all the Puranas aside, because Puranas are good to listen, have a smile, and that's it. But end of the day, as I said earlier, what is in for me? As a soul, what is the lesson that I'm going to get? It gives us a confidence that don't worry, whatever sin you have done, whatever problems you have faced, whatever mistakes you have done, knowingly, unknowingly, it doesn't matter. Once you start repenting for that, once you start singing Tirumurai, because Ravana starts singing and that's how he gets away from this sin. It gives us a confidence that don't worry, don't get into a depression. What you need is going to be given to you. You made a mistake once, but don't worry, that was because of your ignorance. And this kind of a feeling as a human being as of today, what we all need is only that. Just because what I did 10 years back and 20 years back, if I sit and cry now, am I going to get a solution? No. But rather, if I go and sit in front of Shiva and say, I'm sorry, I did this, but I did not do it wantedly, but I know it had hurted someone. I don't know how I'm going to rectify this. Please save me from this pava. And then you start reading the Padigam. When God can forgive Ravana, obviously he can forgive us. Someone who has, damaged his own house, and God could forgive him because of a simple song. All he wants is we have to sing. That's it. Now that is that's one confidence that we are getting. Another one is ninth verse. Ninth verse is always about Tiruvannamalai. The concept of Tiruvannamalai is it's a fire mountain. Why did he grow as a mountain, as a fire? Because education and money. As of today, what is giving us so much of an ego? What is giving us so much of guts to speak whatever we want to and whatever we want to do, or whatever? It is either money or because of education. It's like, I'm a PhD, I'm an IAS officer, you're coming and talking to me like this. I have so much of a wealth, I'm the wealthiest person in this world, So we start arguing on that basis. Ninth verse gives us the confidence. However wealthy you are, however educated you are, you will never achieve Lord Shiva's feet. Just throw away everything. Go on a submissive manner. Only when you submit yourself, Lord Shiva will show himself. All he's looking at us is only love. How much of a pure heart we have. He's not looking at us, our money or our knowledge or whatever it is. This is a simple information that we can learn from. As I said, when you're reading a Padigam, one is, yes, it talks about Lord Shiva, which is very good. We can have a lot of peace of mind. But the second one is, when I read this, what is in for me? You have a lot of information that you can get from Trinyana Sambandar's. He's actually trying to give us a confidence. He's a best leader. I would say, you talk about PMP, Prince 2 certifications, whichever it is, without any of these certifications, he's the best leader as of today. Yeah. Sorry, as I said, old habits die hard. So when you talk about Trinyana Sambandar's Padigams, we can actually see the way how he is approaching the social and ethical norms, what kind of an environmentalist he is, what kind of a traditional norms he's trying to preserve, and his leadership, as I said, best leader that you can ever think of. Siddhanta, he was a revolutionist. That is something that we must admire. 7th century, he has made so many revolutions that even today we are struggling to. Honestly, how many of us are having the confidence to walk in the road with our forehead full of ashes, holy ashes? Not many. But in the 7th century, when the entire place was conquered by another religion, another cult, another belief, he was the only one who could wear his Rudraksha, and at the same time, his forehead was full of the holy ashes, and he was able to walk on the streets. That kind of a revolution. Today, whatever we are hesitant to do, he did that, and he showed us that that is the way how we should live. So we are going to talk about various of his faces. He was wearing multiple hats. We are going to just explore few of it. Language, as I was mentioning last week, there's a lot to talk about his language, but I don't think I want to touch on that once again. So since we touched about that last week, I'll just go on to the other areas, because we do have a lot. You don't need to repeat it. You see, that's the beauty of Trinyana Sambandar. The first area we are going to cover is about the social norms. As a perfect leader, one person must understand the social norm. And what is the social norm that we have to look up for is lead a normal life. That's the most important one. Lead a normal life. What do we mean by normal life? I need to study until certain age. I need to get married after a certain age. I need to get kids. I need to make sure that my kids are growing properly. And then I become a grandparent. After that, that's it. And I need to make sure that I'm bringing up my kid as a social, responsible citizen, rather. This is the most important work of a normal person. And this is how nature is. If you look at nature, you don't see any elephant or a tiger or a dog or whatever becoming a saint, renunciating the world. Renouncing this world is totally abnormal. That is very important concept in Saivism. Today, if I go and tell some of my family members that I'm following Shiva and I'm a religious person, the first thing they will look at me is, oh yeah, are you renunciating? It's like, please, I'm not renouncing it. I'm still in my family life. According to our belief system, don't know from where they got this ideology, but the moment they say, if you start praying, they have a feeling that we are going to renounce this world. To be very frank and very plain over here, 25 years boy, if we go to a pub, the parents are perfectly okay with that. They say, oh, it's because of the age. 25 years boy, if he goes to a temple, the parents start worrying. Unfortunate. And this is what Trinyana Sambandar is trying to break. He says, be a normal person. You don't need to renounce your life, because being in a family life is what even our God is like that. That is why almost in 100% of his Padigams, you will always see Ardhanarishwarar. Not even one single Padigam, he will sing about only the lady goddess or only the god, male form of it. He will have it. He will have reference to Shiva, but majority of the time he will say Ammai Appar. Ammai is mom, Appar is dad. So he will always call them as Ammai Appar, and always Ammai will come front. The reason is, it is through grace, because when you say Ammai, which is Parvati, we call it as in the form we call it as Parvati, but how he represents is the female part is basically the grace. The male part is basically the actual, potential energy. If we take it, kinetic energy and potential energy in science, as simple as that. Even in our simple life, if you look at it, if you want to get something happening in your house, be it you or be it your kids, we won't approach our dad. How close we may be with our dad, we won't approach our dad. We will go through mom. You know why? Because it's easy to convince the mom. Dad is more logical. He will ask too many questions. Mom is emotional. So it's easy to cheat her. Cheat her, huh? So we go through her, and it is easy for her to convince her husband. So it's always that way. That is how even we pray. But none of the places we are talking about Shiva separately and Parvati separately. The simple analogy we can look at it is sun and rays. Without sun, we won't have rays. Rays doesn't exist without sun. If we don't have rays, let sun be that there's nothing, no use for us. So one without the other, we cannot split this, and one without the other is of no use. So this is how we see Parvati and Shiva as part of Saivism. We don't worship separately. The form of Shivlinga itself is in the form of Shiva and Parvati. This is what Triniana Sambandar was trying to express. He said there is nothing like, male form or a female form. Even if you look at our physical body, left side of our body will always be smaller than our right side. Left side will be less powerful than our right side. That's why when we are talking about doing some physical work, very hard work, first thing you will do is with your right side, because right is more powerful than the left. Whether we are a male or a female, this is how our body is. Even the internal organs, if you look at the lungs, if you look at the kidneys and all these, left side will be smaller than the right side. This is nature. Nothing is myth over here. We are not talking about, that's why when I get angry when someone says Hindu mythology, I say, which one do you see as a mythology over there? Nothing is myth, 100% science. And this is what Triniana Sambandar was trying to explain. You know why? Those days, going to temple was a big thing. It's like unusual thing. So he wanted to break that, and he said, be a normal person. Be a normal, lead a normal life. Go to temple, visit Lord Shiva, but don't think about it as a statue or whatever. Think as your father, think as your mom. That is how he started expressing. So when you talk about the social norms, the first thing he started addressing was, don't talk about renunciation. And in one of the plays, he will beautifully say about, the other cults, which, or the religion or the beliefs that was propagating a lot on the renunciation path and becoming a sage and all these. He would say that Pakiyam Indri Iruthalai Pogamum Patrum Vittar, which means poor guys are those people are really poor souls. They don't tend to enjoy, they don't have a choice to enjoy this life, and they don't enjoy the other life also, because they are not seeing the benefit of both. So Saivism is giving you the benefit of both worlds. We call it as this life as well as the afterlife. So Triniana Sambandar's, you can see his, even when we are talking about the social norms and all these, right, we can still see quite a lot of leadership entangled into it. Another very important social norm that we have to discuss, which is very important, at least at this point in time, this juncture, is the moment we hear the word death, it's a big taboo in many of the culture. They take it as very serious. They can't even hear the word death. Death is supposed to be a taboo for them. But according to Saivism, no, it is reuniting with your dad. It is like, we get married and we are out. Now we are again going back to our father's place. That is how death is seen according to Hinduism, according to Saivism. And one instance, what happens is, he's planning to visit a temple early in the morning. He's going to a place called as Thirumarugal. He's going there. And then there was, before he enters the temple, he is hearing a lady sitting and crying out of sorrow. And it is very visible. When we are crying in sorrow, it will be a different way, right? So she is actually crying. He hears that. According to him, he needs to visit temple. But before that, there is something else that he needs to address. Even before visiting temple, he goes to the other direction to see what is happening. And this young girl, she says, she and her lover basically it's like, they wanted to get married and they left their house and they came to this particular place to stay. And they are staying there overnight. That is when a snake has bitten him and he dies out of the poison. And this girl beautifully says, the snake touched him, but I'm not able to touch him because I'm not married. I can't even cry. I can't even touch him and cry, because you look at the social norm those days. Nowadays, don't know where to find this kind of culture. But those days, without getting married, they did not touch one another. And she's sitting and crying. And this small little boy, just imagine 3-4 years little boy, he says, don't worry, everything will be okay. Such a confidence. If we were there in that position, one, we would have avoided that situation and we would have pretended as if we didn't hear that and we would have gone into the temple. Alternatively, we'll just say, okay, it's your fate, what to do, just go and pray. We would have given. But this little boy, he says, everything will be okay, don't worry. Remember, death is not a taboo according to Saivism. So he sings a very beautiful song. Sadaya enumal, sarani enumal, vidaya enumal, veruva virumal, madayar kuvalai, malarum marugal, udayai tagumo, ival ulmelire. 11 songs. After the 11th song, the poison goes nowhere and the boy gets up and the marriage happens. Even today, we are going to record that also for all of you, because if there is any hindrance or a roadblock in a marriage, even today, this Padigam is one of the best. I had a lot of personal experience with this Padigam and it really works. It really works. I can tell you with so much of a confidence, because I'll share when the time comes. Yeah, but it really works. The next one is something we spoke about last week, Abhinay Ki Vinay, if you remember, because of the fever during that time. So that is also a very good Padigam, which is also based on the social responsibility. Another one is, this is also needed at this point in time because of COVID. Many of us are having a little bit of an issues with, income and this and that. So obviously for food, he sees a place with a lot of famine. The place is, there's no rain. Because of it, there's a lot of famine and he wants to serve the community. Where does he go for food or money or whatever? Obviously, Lord Shiva, right? So he went and he's going and asking his dad, okay, now give me money. I need to serve my people. And this is done in Thiruviri Maralai. There's a beautiful song. It's called as Vasi Tirave Kasu Nalguvir. Even today, today morning, if you sit and read this, afternoon, somehow or the other, you will get money. This is one of the magic that I used to say, you don't need to worry. By right, you should be reading it 11 times. But no, not even once he had given a chance that I had to complete 11 times. After 3-4 days, we get the money. After that, we forget. Then the next problem comes in. So, of course, we know it's not right. But yeah, that's the practical approach that we are taking. This is about the social. Let me just move on to the next one, which is more towards the environmentalism. Because right now we are talking about go green, carbon emissions, and more towards like, saving the earth, saving Gaia, and all these is becoming one of the hip topic right now. And in 7th century itself, our Thirugnana Sambandar has focused on this. He's first having his holy milk in the temple. After that, he sings 2 Thirupadigams over there. Then the 4th Padigam, he's going to another place next to the place Sirgari. He's going to another place called as Tirkolaka. Immediately, what we will think of is he will go and sing about God. But actually, he's not. He's starting with nature. He's starting with nature. He says, Madayil Valai Paya Madarar, which means he's talking about the nature. The entire place is full of paddy fields. And in the paddy fields, there's a lot of fish. Imagine paddy fields having fish. Nowadays, we can't even find fish in the sea, right? Imagine paddy fields having fish. So which means people were the vegetarianism was one of the concepts. The next one was they were so having so much of a wealth in terms of the natural resources. And he says in that place, young girls are playfully taking their bath and all these. So the place is full of safety, security, clean, green. In today's language, if we have to say, so serene. I'm not sure where to see that place right now, at least only in pictures and fairy tales we are able to see. But those days he's able to picture it just in front of our eyes. First two lines goes to the nature. Second two lines only he's thinking about Shiva, which is to give us a very important lesson. If you damage nature, you are damaging Shiva. You can never get into the path of spirituality when we are damaging nature. Nature is Shiva, Shiva is nature. He sees everything and everyone around him as, if you start taking the list of all the flowers that is represented in his padigams, I once started, I came all the way to 1200, almost 1200 flowers. After that, I gave up because some of it, I didn't even know that it was a flower name. When I knew it, it's like, Alama, again, I have to start over it. So I just left it. But if you look at it, so many trees, so many flowers, so nature. He says, instead of going to a temple and making the temple dirty, protect the nature, Shiva will be there. Shiva is there. So this is the most important concept as a leader he's trying to establish over there. It is not just the stone that we are worshipping. It is everything as a holistic approach. We say, right, holistic approach and an organic approach. That's exactly what Trijnana Sambandar is talking about. He sees everything in a holistic manner, but obviously when you worship, it must be in an organic manner, which is only Lord Shiva. So he talks about this one God worship, but at the same time, he talks about everything around as an entire, it comes as a package. So he sees everything as a package. That is one of the beauty in his padigams. Another one is he's going to a place near Chennai. It is called as, actually it is near to Tiruvannamalai. If you guys visit there, right, you can actually visit this place also. It is called as Thiru-Ottur. In this particular place, there was this Shaivite, and he's growing palm trees. And the palm trees all turns out to be a male palm. And none of it is blooming. And everyone is making fun of it and saying that, see, because you're worshipping Lord Shiva. And even today you hear that, I'm not sure if you have it here, in at least in the place that I live and all these, we do have that, they say, oh, don't pray to Lord Shiva, you will get into a lot of trouble. He'll make you cry and, he'll give you all sort of hardness. And don't know from where they get all these. Honestly, after praying Shiva, I'm much, much better than what I was earlier. Honestly, but we get this kind of an information. They say, oh, don't pray. And someone had told him also, see, because you're praying to Lord Shiva, that's why you're getting into this and all this. And then this farmer, he's so, he didn't know what to do. When Trijnana Sambandar is coming there, he's going and crying to Trijnana Sambandar. One simple padigam he sang. And this padigam made everything turn out into a female palm tree, and everyone started blooming. Even today, if a girl baby is delaying her first menstruation cycle and all these, if there is a delay because of our food and because of the hormone changes, there's a lot of change in our body also. Whenever there is a delay, usually we ask them to sing this padigam for the girl to become mature. And this is practically happening as of now. So you can see, even for these kind of issues, the day-to-day issues that we are talking about, you do have padigam. And another beautiful approach in terms of environmental is, he goes to a place called Nanipalli. It's a deserted place. It's a desert. And in Tamil Nadu, we don't have the concept of desert because we don't, our climatic conditions, or because we are near to the, because of the place geographically we are located, we don't have the concept of desert. But whenever we have this farming land which goes dried out because of lack of rain, then it will be converted into a desert. But we don't talk about like Sahara desert or whatever that we have in the world. That is not the concept. So what he does is he just visits that place and he sees that the place is entirely a desert. he sings a padigam, and the padigam is a nice padigam. It says Karegal Kugai Mule. He's explaining the entire place. Yeah. If you look at that padigam, after that padigam, right, the place turns out to be a full paddy field. Now, if you want to believe this, if you believe in Shiva, yes, all these are possible. If we don't believe, imagine we are not into this path yet. If someone is asking, how do I believe it? It's a simple approach. If you look at it as of today, in chemistry, we say that there is a metal. When we remove certain components, it will change its characteristics. What he is doing is a simple chemistry work. That's it. The padigam, because of the words, because of the power of the words and the power of the pun, the music, the pun over there, what happens is some of the characteristics, some of the atoms are being removed, and because of that, it is being transformed. Today, we are seeing in chemistry labs, we are able to do that, right? We are changing one chemical to another chemical reaction. How is that possible? When we mix or when we remove, that's exactly what is happening. So as I said, 100% science. We are not talking about magic. Everything is logic, 100%, right? So that is something, because I mean, I'm not sure how much you have this kind of an idea. For me, I come from this kind of a mindset. For me, I need proof. For me to believe anything, I need proof. So when this was given to me, I was asking, arguing and all these. And then I was convinced based on this. Yes, it is possible. Nowadays, we are able to see silver becoming gold, gold becoming iron, very much possible. It's all chemical reactions. So changing one land to another land is not an issue. But of course, when we believe in Shiva, everything is possible. End of the day, that is the most important one. But yes, we do have answers for those of them who don't believe in Shiva also. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, that's about the environmental aspects. Let's move on to the next one. I'm just touching some of the aspects only. We don't have time to go into the details. His traditional norms. He was born in a very, very traditional Vedic family. And according to the Saivism culture, however big saint we are, it doesn't matter. We have to bow down to the mom's feet. Mom should not bow down to our feet. But dad can bow down to our feet. We don't need to bow down to the dad's feet. That is one good thing about the mom, the motherlyhood. So immediately after he was initiated in this path, after in the temple he received the holy milk, he's coming home. The first thing he does is he's bowing down to his mom's feet. So he's actually a renounced person at that point in time. He's realized person, self-realized person, yet he follows that norm. One thing that I really like about his history is he has given us a separate padigam for Vibhuti. He has given a separate padigam for Vibhuti to say, what is your problem? Because today, if you look at it, if there is a death in a house, they don't wear Vibhuti. They don't want to. If during periods, menstruation cycle, ladies should not be wearing Vibhuti. Because we have all these kind of, don't know from where we got it, but we had it. But he is actually breaking it. He says, if you want strength, go ahead, wear Vibhuti. If you want beauty, instead of going for all these cosmetic surgery and all these, have Vibhuti. That's the best makeup kit that we can ever have. So he is going all the way into that. He says, mantra, tantra, everything is Vibhuti. So he is going into such details. The Vibhuti, the Tirupadigam itself is beautiful. And he tells us that anyone and everyone can wear Vibhuti. That is as long as a soul is longing for it. It can be a dog, it can be a cat, it can be a human, it doesn't matter. We can have the privilege of having a Vibhuti. That's one of his, he's trying to bring in that tradition, which is very good. And this is an interesting history that we should be knowing about our Thiruñana Sambandar, because it shows how matured he is. When he was in the age of 15, 16, around there, prime teenage, at that point in time, he visits Chennai. Now Chennai, right? So he visits there. He goes to Mylapore. That is the place where the most richest person, one person who's very, very rich, He has a beautiful girl. He is growing up the girl with a mindset that he is going to marry the girl off to Thiruñana Sambandar. Since young age, the dad keeps saying, oh, your husband is Thiruñana Sambandar. Your husband. So he's, planting that in the girl's mind. So the girl is growing up with that intention itself. And one unfortunate day, a snake bites that girl and the girl dies off. This is all happening before Thiruñana Sambandar's visit. The girl dies off. What the dad does is cremates the body, put all the ash and bones in a pot and keeps it near the temple. Even today, you can go and visit the temple. You can see the lady statue over there. Even today, it is there. In Mylapore, you do have that. It's called as Pumbavai. So Thiruñana Sambandar is coming. Once the Chettiar knows that he is coming, what he does is all the way from Mylapore to the place that he is, it's almost like 45 kilometers to 47 kilometers. He is making a path with flowers. Those days, imagine how expensive it is going to be. He's super rich. So he's making a beautiful pathway out of flowers for the kid to walk. And he comes in, he comes to Mylapore, and then the dad says, you see, I grew up this girl for you. Now she's in ashes. Now you are her husband. That's how we grew her. Now I'm handing over the ash to her, to you. And he sings a padigam. Beautiful padigam. He sings the padigam. Immediately after, he keeps the pot and then he sings the padigam. After the padigam is sung, the pot breaks and a beautiful young girl is in front of him. Beautiful. In the 12th Tirumurai, Sekular Periya Puranam, not even in one place he's appreciating the beauty of a lady except this place. He tells how beautiful the girl is in front of him. Imagine, Thiruñana Sambandar is in his teenage. He's seeing the girl and she was grown with an intention that he is going to be the husband. So which means he has all rights to marry her. The dad is over there and the dad says, the dad is so happy now. He says, I grew her for your sake. Now I want you to marry her. And you know what is the maturity of Thiruñana Sambandar? Unbelievable. He just says, your daughter is dead long back. Now what I have here is my daughter because of Lord Shiva's grace. Imagine a 16-year-old boy looking at the best beautiful girl possible and saying, she is my daughter. That is our culture. That is our tradition. So he's upholding the tradition over there. Not even one single place we can point at Thiruñana Sambandar and say, he made a mistake at this place. None. That's why we said that's the best leadership possible that you can see. And this is, even today, all these are history. It is documented even today. If you visit the Mylapore, you can see the place. You can actually, every time I visit there, I sit and sing that padigam in front of the lady, and then only I go and visit the Lord Shiva itself. It's so beautiful. It's so energetic over there. It's such a nice place to visit, honestly. Yeah. Now, obviously, talking about his leadership quality, we have been touching on his leadership quality in an indirect manner, now directly. His one incident is good enough for us to talk about his leadership. One, which is his Madurai incident. When he visits Madurai, of course, there's a lot more, but one place that is very significant in his history is he goes on with 3 set of arguments. The 3 set of arguments are, it is called as Suravadam, which is on fever. The second one is Analvadam, which is on fire. Third one is Punalvadam, which is on water. If you look at it, all the 3, we call it as bhutas, right? The Panjabhutas. Out of the Panjabhutas, there are 3 which is visible. The other 2 is intangible in nature. If you look at space, if you look at air, it is intangible in nature. And the guys who are arguing with Thiruñana Sambandar, they have a concept that they don't accept space. According to their belief, they don't accept space. And imagine we are spending millions of dollars sending our people to space, but those guys simply negate the idea of space. So they don't want to talk about the intangible ones. They only spoke about the tangible ones. Fever is on the body, which is made of earth. The second one is water. The third one is fire. He went ahead and he broke all those arguments and he won the argument. How is it possible? Basically, he writes on a palm leaf. Both the parties, they have to write in a palm leaf whatever they believe, and they need to put it in a fire, and the fire should not burn it. Where got such thing? Right? Whatever we put, the beauty of fire is anything and everything can be swallowed. Look at the argument. They said Thiruñana Sambandar has to first put his palm leaf into the fire. They didn't want to put first. So they said, you put first. Thiruñana Sambandar was very, very clear. Earth, fire, water, air, space, everything is Lord Shiva. When I'm giving it to Lord Shiva itself, how is it going to damage? So he invoked the fire element of Shiva when he was putting the palm leaf into the fire. The palm leaf just stayed green, evergreen. That is the way. Because if you look at it, the way how we believe, the way how we see Lord Shiva is the most important one. And that is what he was trying to establish. The next one, he's dropping a palm leaf in the water, in a river. And the river, it's going against the current. The palm leaf went against the current. That is unbelievable. As of today, we only know salmon fish is able to do that. It can go against the current. None of the other fishes can do that. It can go against the current and climb up the mountain. But Thiruñana Sambandar's palm leaf was also able to do that. So if you look at it, it's all the way how he had established Saivism once again in a place where Saivism was almost dead, long lost. He went there and he established. That shows what level of belief system that he wanted us to have on Lord Shiva. That's why I used to say, even if we don't believe in Lord Shiva, it's perfectly okay. Believe in his padigams, everything will be done. One classic example is Meykandar was born only by reading his padigam. One parents, they did not have kids, and according to their jatak, they don't have prapt for any kids. They don't have. So according to their stars, signs, and all these, they cannot have a kid. And what they are doing is they are going to their guru, who's Umapati, he's called as Arul Nandi Sivam. He's going to his guru, his parents' guru, and asking for a solution. His guru was very smart. What he did was he took Thiruñana Sambandar's Padigam, he put a rope in between, he opened up, and he gave a song. It's called as Peyadaya Piriveidum Pullayinodu, which is to say, don't worry, even if you are having a ghost that is conquering you, it will go away and you will have kids. The exact statement says that. He said, okay, go to that particular place, read this Padigam 45 days, you will get a kid. The parents are going there and they are taking bath in the 3 wells, and then they are chanting this mantra every day, which is chanting this Padigam every day. And Lord Shiva comes in the dream and he says, do you know that according to your jatak, you don't have kids? The dad was so confident. He says, yes, I know. I don't care if you are going to give, but I know Thiruñana Sambandar will give. Lord Shiva did not have an option, but he gave the baby. So if you look at it, he was our first guru in Siddhantam. He's called as Meykandar. Meykandar got his knowledge in 2 years. Reading a 3-year baby's verses, this kid got a knowledge when he was 2 years. So his Padigam will do wonders, and that is what we are also following. As of today, for me, whatever happens, it is Tirupadigam. For me, everything is Tirupadigam. Any problem, I just go to just look at one of the Padigam, just place a rope. Whatever Padigam comes to me, I'll just start reading until it gets sorted out. Whatever type of a problem, it can be sorted out. That is the power. That's why I used to say, it's okay even if we don't believe on Shiva, it's okay. But Tirupadigams are so powerful because it is all given directly from Lord Shiva. That is the reason. Yeah, so that is one of the area we need to know. And of course, when you talk about Siddhantam, and because If you talk about Triyana Sambandar without talking about Siddhantam, nothing can come in place. So obviously he talks a lot about Siddhantam. There is only one verse that I can give as an example. விளையாததோர் பரிசில் வரு பசு பாச வேதனையொன் தளையாயின தவிர வருள் தலைவன் அது சார்பாம், which is simple way to talk about the three elements that Saiva Siddhantam is based on: pasu, padi, pasam. So beautifully, and also he gives us a padigam on the 5-letter syllable, the 5-syllable mantra, which is Sivaya Nama. He gives a beautiful clarity. Even today, we take that as our path of initiation to, move on in this path. Even if we don't get a guru, sometimes we get into that situation. We are somewhere stationed outside of India. We don't know where to ask for help. We don't know where to look up for help, but we know that Shiva is everything. Where do we go? How do we approach? Very simple. Just take this padigam, read it. The guru will be automatically sent to us. That is what, because for us, guru is Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is the one who's sending us the gurus according to our knowledge, according to our maturity. So the padigams are actually guiding us towards that path. That is how we are looking at. So whatever it is very, very important for us to start believing and start chanting the padigams. Lord Shiva's grace will 100% be on us, not even to doubt anything about it. Okay. With that, I conclude my heartfelt thanks to all of you. I know it is quite early, yet you guys managed to join in, and I really thank you for that. My first disclaimer I have to say is I'm not an English literature trained person. I'm trying to pick up the language in a slow and steady manner. In case I'm not using a correct vocabulary, pardon me for my ignorance. I'm sure I'm getting my thoughts across, even by the way of beating around the bush, because some of the words which I'm not aware of, but I'm still trying to learn. I'm sure Lord Shiva will bless me with that one day. Once again, I would like to thank International Hindu University for giving us this opportunity to talk about our first Guru, Triyana Sambandar. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank our Swamiji for opening up these doors, and obviously Lord Shiva and my Guru Nambi Arurar, because without them, I don't think all these are possible. So yeah, because of his grace, took me into this path, I would say. Thank you so much.
What a beautiful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful talk. Thank you so much, Lavanya-ji, for what you have presented to us today and inspired us with all these padigams, which are very practical solutions to common things in our life. Any questions from anybody? Anybody has any questions?
I have a question. And of course, thank you so much. And you conveyed it very, very well. So there was no need to excuse you for the English. I mean, you have perfect English. It came very, very fluently. And I think all of us understood it. So my question is related to Mahamrityunjaya mantra. So you talked about all the padikams. So how does it relate with the Mahamrityunjaya mantra? Because that is also supposed to save you with the grace of Lord Shiva, isn't it?
Yes, we don't differentiate Sanskrit and Tamil verses. We try not to differentiate those two, but it's only the comfort. If we are comfortable in chanting Mrityunjaya mantra, that will be a better option. But some of us, when we don't understand properly and when we are not able to pronounce it properly, it might give us a negative effect. So in those cases, we can, because Tamilians, most of the time, the pronunciation of sha, ha, and all these may be a little bit challenging. So we suggest the Tamil padigams. But both are given by Lord Shiva, as in Tamil as well as Sanskrit. So we are perfectly okay. Both are having the equal weightage. Yes.
Very nice. Very nice. Also, Lavanya-ji, you said, do we say Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, or do we say Om Shivaya Namah? Which is the right way of, which is the right Panchakshari?
To start with, according to Saiva Siddhanta, they say when you start with Namah Shivaya, that is the first stage of mantra, but that will give us only worldly pleasures, because Na and Ma stands for the worldly pleasures. Ya is the soul. Va means grace. Si means Shiva. So when we look at this, if we say nama in the starting, what happens is we are still getting ourselves attached to the worldly pleasures. But whatever we need for this life, this particular life, to lead our life in a peaceful manner, we will achieve all that. But if we are looking at enhancing in our spiritual path, we need to change it. We need to say Sivaya Nama.
Beautiful.
That is how it is. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Lavanya. Any other questions? Raji, anything from you?
Om Shivaya Nama, Lavanya ji. It's beautifully explained well, as Sri Gupta ji said, your English is perfect. All the things you wanted to convey, it came across very beautifully with the grace of Lord Shiva.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing I wish most of us could express like you do, such difficult concepts, and bring it into our very practical way for it to get into our brains. I wish I don't have that ability. Most of us don't have the ability to convey.
If we say we are bringing this to the next generation, to the kids, if it is not scientific, I don't think it's going to be practically possible.
Yes.
Exactly.
Myths and beliefs just stay with us. But if we want to bring it to the next generation, we need to tell them practically what is the benefit that they are going to get, how scientifically it is aligned. Only then we can reach that. So the first aim is to bring it to the next generation, which means we need to justify all these in a logical manner that they are able to buy in.
So, Shiva Lavanya ji, I have a question for you. Being a Tamilian, I learned in school Tamil, but my Tamil knowledge is not very well to understand the poetry form. I can read the Saiva Siddhantam very well if it is in a prose form, so I can easily understand and get the concepts very clearly. But most of our ancient gurus, those 6th, 7th centuries, the form is, like a poetry form. So that I have very difficult time to really understand the poetical form, being not having that a deep understanding of Tamil language, what will be the best way? I have past 5 years learned the Saiva Siddhantam, but I really want to learn the Tirumurai properly. Just, by learning the Saiva Siddhantam, lot of examples were given, and also the meanings were given. So I can understand well, but to enjoy the poetical form, do you have any recommendation where should I start? Because even the padihams, if the words are clustered, to separate the words to understand the meaning is a little hard for me.
I think that is one of the challenge most of us are having right now. And I would say that the only thing that helped me is Nambi Arora. What happened was I wanted a guru and to learn all these. So when I was searching for it, it was some way that someone told me that gurus are only these 4 of us. Yes. So 4 of them. So what I did was I just wrote a chit in front of God and I said, give me one guru. Yeah. And they gave me Nambi Arora, which is the 7th Tirumurai, right? So he was given. I took his book. That was the first thing that I did. I just kept on reading his book. Trust me, I was literally crying. I could not understand a word. I could not even read it properly, like what you said, right? When it is in a clustered form, I was not even able to split it in a logical manner. I was literally crying. But only thing is, when I called my mom and I said, I don't understand anything. My mom said only one word that was actually a very inspirational word. She said, you believe that your Shiva has the ability, right? Yeah. Read it with confidence. He will make it clear for you. And it happened. Don't know how it happened, but it happened. That is how I would say. Don't leave hope. Don't lose your heart. Read one. Just take one Tirumurai. Just identify which one is closer to you. Go near to your altar. Ask Shivaperuman itself, who is going to be your guru. Pick up one Tirumurai, maybe 7 Tirumurais or 8 Tirumurais, write it in a chit and put it in front of the god. Ask a kid to pick it up, or even you can pick it up. Read only that until they give you. What Shiva is looking at is how much we are able to dedicate ourselves. That's what he looks at. So don't lose heart. Read it. I'm sure he will. I'm able to read it. If I can do it, you can do it. Honestly.
Oh my gosh. It's,
We're going to have another one, Raji, by Lavanya ji. We'll do one on 7th Tirumurai, which is a guru. That's where our initial conversation was. So we'll have Lavanya ji come if she can on a monthly basis and continue to educate us, right? Because I think her way of teaching us is very practical way of communicating ideas to us. So this is absolutely a blessing, and she's happy to do it for us. So we'll leverage her desire to spread Shiv Siddhanta to all of us.
yeah, Miss Lavanya ji, you are very inspirational for
Very
us. Thank you. Om Shiva.
Thank you. Om Shivaya Namah.
Thank
See,
you so
you're teaching
much.
us all. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful week. And you and I will connect a little bit more on the phone next week. To figure out
Om
next-
Shivaya Namah.
Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Lavanya ji, have a wonderful night. Thank you again. Thank you very,
Thank
very
you.
much. And I'll
Have a
send you
good
this recording so we can.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was very, very interesting.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Next week, guys,
Thank
we
you.
have Raghuvansham. Kalidas's Raghuvansham is the topic for next week. So we alternate between different ways of thought to keep everything going within our Hinduism. So that's the topic for next week. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day or a great evening. Good night.
Bye-bye. Have a good
Bye.
weekend as well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Shivaya Namah.
No.